You are listening to the Bright Life Podcast, all about ways to stay inspired, chase your dreams, and find more gratitude in the highs and lows of the journey. I'm your host, Jessica Johnson. I'm a business owner, a part-time digital nomad, a self-growth junkie, a believer in other big-hearted women, and am all about sharing tips, tricks, lessons learned, and encouragement so we can all live our biggest, brightest lives. You ready? Let's do this. Hey girl, welcome to this week's episode. So thrilled to have you here. This week I wanted to share something that's been on my heart around the idea of success. This is a lesson that I have been learning lately and have before with my business, and I've just been kind of waiting for the right time to have enough thoughts on it to make an episode, and I think that day is today, so we're going to see how this goes. But what I want to offer for you, and something that I have learned through my first businesses, my first creative projects, anything new really that I've started that's been uncomfortable, is that success is not always going to come in the way that you expect it to. And it's not always meant to come in the way that you expect it to. And what I mean by that is, when I think back to my first business, I had a very specific idea in my mind of what success looked like. I had certain numbers in mind in terms of my income goals, my clients, how booked out I would be, how many followers I would have, all that kind of quantitative stuff. Like, I had visions in my mind of what success would actually look like. And I thought that was the point of the business. I thought the point of the business was to build a really successful, quote unquote, business, to have a ton of clients, to do work that was meaningful to me. And the more I got into that business, and honestly, the further I got away from it, where I began to pivot it to be more just aligned as I grew and as the business grew, I started to look back and realize something. And that is that maybe success for that business was never meant to be hitting the certain income goal, getting the clients, having it look the way that I thought it would when I began the business. In hindsight, I honestly think success was putting myself out there, was leaving corporate America, was taking a chance on myself, was getting to know these amazing clients and women, and because it was in wellness, even getting clarity around what my own beliefs and routines and healing processes were in that space. I think success for that business was almost standing in my worst fears at some point, feeling like a failure in some ways, and realizing that I could stand in that moment and get through it. I think it was every time that I practiced showing up on Facebook Live when I was scared to, or sharing from my heart when I was scared to. I think success in that business was learning all the million things you need to run a business, how to have the website and, the email sequences and the client billing and correspondence and communications and programs and coaching. I think the success was really getting me through those first growing pains of building a business so that with the next one, I could be more aligned and I could know what I liked and what I didn't. And the second business grew so quickly that it was just almost funny to me, like how hard I pushed for it in that first business, when really all of that was there. Like, all of the stuff that I thought I needed was there in the second business. But really, that's because I think that the first business, success was never meant to come in the way that I traditionally thought of it. It was all those other things. It was the spiritual practices I had to get into. It was the mindset work. It was the meditation. It was just finding out who I was, more so than actually having the business, quote unquote, be successful. So maybe there's something for you in your life that you're thinking through and you're like, this is a disaster, or this is not what I thought it would be, or why am I running up against walls here? And the first thing that I would do is look at it and say, what am I calculating as success? What would success look like to me, quote unquote? And give your honest, impulsive answer there. And then consider, is there any other way in which this is a success right now? Is there any other way that I might actually be meant to be in this scenario even if it's flailing, even if it's a little bit of a hot mess, because I'm still getting so much in my life out of this. Because it's teaching me so much, because it's stretching me, because I'm growing, because I'm becoming someone different in this process. Because that's really, I think, what my first business and everything I've created, but especially the harder it is, what it's given me is it's helped me become someone different. In order to have what I want out of it, I'm becoming a different person every day. And so I think that in a lot of ways is the success you get out of these things. I think another example would be even my first blog, where I used to write every single weekday. I'd publish something, and it could be small, it could be just a little snippet or a little thought here, or a longer piece that I'd been working on. But I think success there, again, I kept thinking like this is going to look like a certain amount of website traffic every month, or sponsorships, or whatever. And it's not to say that any of these past things were even that bad. Even my first business, I did have clients and I did have a lot of quote unquote success the way I was thinking of it. But with that blog, I really think the success was having a place to practice having creative stuff to say every single day and practice my writing every single day. And even when I did not know what I was going to post that next week or that next day, just trusting the inspiration and the creative process and keeping my eyes open for whatever could inspire me enough to fit the spot that week. And it always did. I think success was also who I became and being comfortable posting on social media links to my blog and links to my, innermost thoughts sometimes. Sometimes they're very personal stories. And so again, for you, you can think about it whether it is a more creative project or maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a goal you're trying to hit. Kind of loosen that grip around what you think success should be and look and see if you're actually a success, or maybe there's a bigger purpose for this thing in your life that has nothing to do with the way we culturally think of success or the way you've been trying to force it. I was having this conversation with my mentor, Lacey, who I've mentioned a million times on the podcast, the other day, and we were talking again about something that I'm holding very tightly to, this idea of success. And one of her tips, which I thought it would be good to share here, is to focus not so much on that outcome, but to focus on the process. And when I was in the wellness industry coaching, I talk to this with my clients all the time. So it's funny how you lose it in business or in another part of your life. But if you can focus on the process, if you can focus on, again, who you're becoming day in and day out, if you can focus on the things that you can control, like showing up, like reaching out, like putting yourself out there, if you can give yourself the things every day that you can actually control and celebrate yourself for, then you don't have to worry so much about the outcome. Not only is the outcome more likely to come because you're doing the things that do, quote unquote, bring about success, but you're actually more likely to loosen your grip on what that outcome looks like because you know that you're in it every day and you're proud of yourself for that, and you can celebrate the little things, and you can lose that grip of what that success has to look like and let it come in another way. And so that's kind of what I've just been thinking about. And I was like, I have to share this because I know that we all have that thing in our lives that we're trying to force, that we're trying to push, that we're trying to make come the way that we think it should. And if you can just lessen that attachment to it, if you can just take that perspective of seeing, maybe I'm actually successful in this way, or maybe the purpose isn't success even to begin with. Maybe this thing was never brought into my life to be a success, but maybe the fact that it's hard, the fact that I'm trying, the fact that I'm changing and growing and evolving through it is the success, is the reason it's in my life and is here and is worth doing. And also that when it's time to let go of that or to open up to other ways of the success, and that's okay too. So I just think kind of remembering that success isn't always the purpose of something. Sometimes the purpose is 100% the opposite, because that's where you're going to grow more. That's where you're going to become this different, more evolved, next level version of yourself. That's where you're going to find the magic, and that's where you're going to find the lesson that's going to change the way you think about things for the rest of your life. So I hope if you're holding on to anything, this offers a little bit of encouragement. As always, message me on social media, share it with a friend, or leave a review if this touched you, and I look forward to being back here again next week. Thank you so much for listening in. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much to me if you share it on Instagram stories and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping get the message out. I am so grateful to be on this journey with you. Until next time, talk to you soon.